Welcome back to another episode of To the Moon. Astronauts just hanging out without gravity, without any problems, without any resist. Come on, we all know that ain't true. This is entrepreneurship and it's going to be a bumpy ride. But guess what? At the end of that, incredible things happen. And I have an insanely special guest with us today. Jason D'Amico, how are you, brother? Welcome to the moon. We are grateful to have you here and just excited to hear your story, man.
Awesome. I'm doing great. Thank you. Couldn't be more grateful to be here, and I appreciate you you having me on, bro.
Listen, it's truly my purpose, and on top of that, it feeds every aspect of my spirit to be able to watch folks find financial freedom, find an opportunity to get themselves out of whatever prison they've put themselves in life. And it's interesting I use that word prison because your W-2 can be a prison. Your mindset can be a prison. Your relationships can be confining. So many things can hold us back, but we don't have to be subject to that. And so, Jason, what I want to do is I want to take us back in time a little bit. Let's hop into the DeLorean and rewind to when you first decided entrepreneurship was for you, how you came to find the Astroflipping community, and then talk a little bit about what's happened since.
Yeah, absolutely. So going back a little bit, just kind of my background, really the college kind of era. So I was an athlete, kind of coming out of high school, and football was mainly my sport. I play all the way through college.
That's big.
Yeah, I'm blessed to get a scholarship and, not have to go into any kind of sort of debt to go through school. So that was just a huge, huge blessing. I get towards the end of my college career, and what am I going to do? Because I'm very singular focused. I'm very, when I, kind of focus my energy and my intent on something, it's very, I put the blinders on and I just want to give that the best I can.
Right.
And so I get to the end of college, and then I had the most supportive parents, mom and dad. Dad was a police officer in the town where we grew up.
Awesome.
And I really had a role model, like positive male role model growing up. And just to kind of speak to the type of person he was in the kind of atmosphere. So he he's an older, started, a while ago. He started in the 70s, started police work in the 70s. And my dad was like larger than life. Him and all of his friends, when I saw them, I mean, it's like wool uniforms, creases that are just sharp as can be. Everything's really shiny on their chest, their boots, shiny ties, all this stuff. So him and his friends would walk in, and I'm like, you'd ask me how tall they were. I said, oh, they're all 10 feet tall. All these guys are monsters.
Because they're put together. They moved like specimen. Like you'd see them, and I feel the same way about my dad. Looking back in life, and just sort of in my idea how his stature in my mind, and my uncles too, right? So I completely get it. But now uniform. Like my dad wore coveralls because he was, they worked at a truck wash, and so they shoveled dirt. But I can't imagine how much pride you would have had as a young man watching your dad in uniform with his friends and in the service career, right? Where he's protecting, where when people are in trouble, they call your dad. That's a cool thing. That's like my dad can save your life,
Yeah.
So that gave you a lot of context, and I'm sure it gave you aspirations on where you had set targets in life.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And then I didn't really realize this till I was older, but looking back, like how thankful I was to be in that environment of, here's how, we act, here's how we are, here's the standards in this family and how we act as, professionals, and respect other people and respect their time and respect these things. And it wasn't like, it was, I had tons of freedom. I had, all that kind of stuff. It wasn't like militaristic, but it was just like, hey, here's how you act, and it was just really him just being the example was really all all that, you know, all that he had to do. And so anyway, so I get towards the end of my college kind of career. I'm like, hey, what am I gonna do? And I'm like, all right, let's explore this police world. It sounds fun. And I had a buddy working in the city where we're at. Big city, big department, lots going on. And I don't know if you've been out with you know, on a ride along or anything.
Well, actually, one of my really good friends is, I think he what's above lieutenant?
Captain usually.
He's captain in the Scottsdale police force.
Okay.
He's like, he's almost at that role where he's going to be political, where he may make chief. And so it's he, and one of my like dear friends, right? And so I understand the world. And I you know, in a former life I dated a cop, so I get the whole I understand how that all works.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah. Well, not every ride along is exciting.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of just running plates.
Yeah. Some are super boring and some are like, you know, off the hook. And I was blessed. I had a off the hook night with my friend when I went and rode with them. And so then I'm in. This is what I want to do. So I joined.
Are you at
up.
liberty to share like a brief story of like what happened, something that happened that night?
Oh yeah, 100%. So we are in there's rough sides of every city, I would assume. So we're in my buddy, you know, you're young and he's working nights, so everyone, you know, he's kind of in where kind of the more action is.
Yep.
So we're in that part of the city where we're at, and house party. It's like Friday or Saturday night, so house party kicks off and big brawl kind of thing.
Okay.
And it's an apartment complex, and where the apartment complex was, essentially the parking lot backs up to a sound wall, which then has an expressway right behind it. So it's just this little like kind of funnel. And house party turns like, so the boys go there for, you know, whatever the noise or whatever,
noise complaint. Yep.
Yeah, whatever it is. And then the party turns on them, and so, you know, they say whatever on the radio and says, hey, send you know, send me the rest of the troops. And so and it's, again, big department, so we're not too far, and we show up and there's probably 50 cop cars in this whole, before we get there. Wow. 50 cop cars in the whole, like, just swarmed, to the point where we're getting out, we're kind of like, you know, meandering through the cars and kind of getting towards like the action. And then I see cops are jumping the sound wall, like climbing over the sound wall to get to these guys, because it was probably like a 60-person, you know, party that's like now, you know, bottles and the whole thing.
And it's a melee now, and people are jumping the sound wall and trying to get away, and they're, you know, running into traffic on the freeway. It's mayhem.
But to see, like, because the two guys show up initially, and then for them to say what they say, and then their whole, you know, family and team shows up and like are literally jumping the wall to make sure that these guys are safe and, you know, protected, was just like the coolest thing I've ever seen. So that was,
needless to say, you're full-fledged now. You're becoming a police officer.
I'm in. This is
how could you not? Following dad's footsteps, the first day on the ride along, and you're like, man, we're jumping sound walls, we're breaking up you know, disastrous house parties, we're serving, we're doing our jobs. And I respect it. And again, thank you for your service, and you know, the time that you did. You're no longer a police officer, I imagine. I
actually just retired because of your community and your course.
Part of me
we'll get into that.
Terrible about that, but
no, it's a good story.
I don't want to be taking cops off the, you know, off the streets, but at the same time, you know, if you have that's one of those W-2 jobs that I could say like, hey, you know, I got a lot of love and respect there, but of course, you know, we also know that for what you guys do, the pay's not really. It's not enough. It's not enough for to support support a family, to really be able to live a good, like a rich life. You know, you can't do it. And so I understand. But all right, so you're a police officer, and then how do you decide to be an entrepreneur and juggle that?
So exactly what you said was what got me into real estate. So, I'm 24, I'm a young cop. I'm not even looking, and I'm single, not even looking at my paycheck. I just am so happy to show up to work and have fun with my friends. Is really kind of my life. But then you get older and you get married and you kind of have these responsibilities and you look at life differently. So kind of talking about my parents is my mom actually really inspired me my mom and her side of the family really inspired me to get into real estate. So I'm newly married. I'm thinking about the stuff you're saying, like, okay, how do I, not only provide, but like really, provide like the best life I can for my wife and
Of
I.
course.
We
We got
want,
one shot at this, man, and you know
yeah,
what I mean. Like it's, how dare we not want it to be the best?
yes. So, God bless my mother. She basically wouldn't allow me when I played football in the Midwest at a college. I come back and she essentially wouldn't allow me to rent an apartment or anything like that. It was, you're going to save your money and you're going to buy something. It was like forced. Oh, not forced.
Yeah,
I
she's just
school
like,
with
she
it.
gets
So
it.
I buy a condo. I save up, put my down payment, buy a condo, and move into that. And I start doing my thing. But then I hear stories about my grandpa on my mom's side. So we're Italian heritage. Basically, all my grandparents came over back in the day on the boat, Ellis Island, the whole thing, and end up in California. My grandpa specifically on a farm in kind of the east foothills of where we live now. So farm, family farm, that kind of whole thing. And then just kind of fast forward, he has apartment buildings and he has house, rentals and things like that. And he eventually develops that farm into a shopping center.
Oh wow.
So that shopping center currently still there. It's like, one of your kind of your strip mall, like your liquor
Yeah.
store, your pizza parlor. There's a
But
gas
it's like
station.
you can feel it, touch it. It's like it'll last over 100 years, and you can say that my grandpa did that.
Oh yeah. Well, so now I'm gonna get older. So I never met him. He actually passed before I was born. But my grandma, his wife, was around, and I knew grandma as just like, grandma lives in this really nice house over here. She doesn't work. She's older, so she's of a retirement age. I never really thought about it. She picks us up from school. She cooks us, brings us food. She just kind of lives this like real relaxed like life. And so you get older, and I kind of start like hearing stories. My mom's like, "Oh no, you're so grandpa actually." So in like the 80s, she was a widow for like 50 years. In the 80s, my grandpa's like 50 years old, goes to Italy to visit family, has a heart attack and dies, passes
Oh,
away. Just suddenly. The shopping center is now, left for my grandmother, and it provided income for her for 50 years. She
wow.
never she never had to worry about work. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh." Like that story was like, and not to get like too like serious or whatever, but like that's kind of what inspired me. It's like the job I was in, like, it's dangerous. I have a wife now.
And you got to go every day.
And you got to go every day.
Yeah.
Lord forbid something were to ever happen to me. If I can position myself to where no matter what, my wife is taken care of, just like my grandpa did for my grandma. I mean, that was a freak heart attack. For 50 years, she was taken care of. That shopping center, provided for her,
She still
and
own it, or she end up selling it?
she passed, and now it's my mom and my dad manage it. So it's going down the line. So now it provides to his daughter.
Wow. At some point, you'll own that. I mean, I'm so,
No, that's fine. No,
God
go.
forbid when that, but like that, what a thing. Like this is legacy, right?
Yeah. So farm, he developed it, goes to my grandma, provides 50 years to her. And then she passed probably, 8 years ago or so. And then for the last 8 years, it provides to my mother. It was the best story I've ever heard. And so that's really what inspired me to like, okay, real estate there's something powerful here.
Yeah.
And I would like to explore this more.
So Then what happens? You run into a dancing genie ad, or what's up?
So I bought the condo.
Yeah.
I get married. We're able to rent that condo out and then buy another house.
Okay. So you're like now in the game of property management. You got a rental. It's like that's phenomenal. So you're now a multi-property owner.
Multi-property owner, landlord, manage it ourselves, the whole thing. And I'm like, okay, I want to keep progressing. I have the most supportive wife. And I tell her, like, hey, why don't we sell the house we live in and the rental and go buy something big? Like, I want an apartment building, like a 6 or a 10 kind of thing. So we sell where we live. Now we're renting to take all that money and go invest. We do an exchange with the condo to try and defer the taxes.
Yep.
And there's a window there, right? There's a 45-day window.
Yeah. Where you gotta identify the property, and it's like 1031s are more complicated than people realize, and it has to be a like type of property. It's an interesting maneuver, but yeah.
In a nutshell, we get to the end of our period. We can't find anything. So I have a real estate agent friend that's here, and he's just like Mr. Chill and cool. He's just like, how much longer do you have? I go, we have 3 days. And he's like, oh, I'll call you back in a few hours. I'll get you some. Click. And I go, all right. So he calls me back and he's like, all right, I found house over here. It's a single family. It's grandma's house. It needs full cosmetic. We're going to flip this house and you're going to put the money in there. I go, okay. I just say, okay, we're going to flip a house.
Right.
And so long story short, we buy that house. He's got the contractors, he's got the lenders, he's got everything for me. And basically I just have to manage this thing. And my wife loved it because she got to design a house. And so we get in and out in probably like 60 days. This is 2021 now.
All right. So the market's bull. It's great.
It was really, really good. So it was super successful in that. And so I'm like, okay, I want to go down this. I like flipping. I want to go down this road. So for whatever reason, when you go on the internet and look up flipping, wholesaling just pops up all the time.
Yeah.
Wholesaling. And so I start listening to kind of, podcasts, the usual kind of route people go. And I see a podcast with you. And you see all these different guys. Like there's a lot of them out there. And but I see you, I hear your story. Peaks and valleys. And I just resonated with you the most, really, out of everyone. I really, kind of just in maybe just how I was brought up. Like if you teach something and then I hear that you've been through things as well and never gave up and never, even with, and your family was, right there with you and you never gave up and no matter what, I'm going to do this. I'm like, that's my guy right there. I'll listen to you, I'll listen to him. So I start kind of, I basically through that, eventually the blue genie pops up.
Got it.
And I see.
Okay. I mean, he'll make me laugh too. So this is fun.
Yes. He's been through some stuff. So I know what he's telling me is from actual experience, not theory, and which is important to me. And I'm like, this is the guy. This is my guy. So I'm gonna kind of go down that road. So, again, and just kind of from my background is, all right, this is a new thing, there's training involved. And, I got on the phone with one of your guys and, they kind of explained to me how things go. And yeah, that was it. Then I started with you and with Astro.
And so let's talk about your first deal.
Yeah. So I'm here in California.
Yeah. Which, by the way, a lot of people are like, oh, you can't wholesale in California. It's too competitive. It's blah, blah. There's so many limiting beliefs. So many people that just have like super just, they create their own imaginary walls. Right. Mm-hmm. And so let's shatter those beliefs right now.
Well, I hate to break it to you. Actually, my first deal was not in California.
Okay. Where did you do it?
Tennessee.
Okay.
So
Well, you
part
can
of
do it virtually too, but I wish we would have had a first deal Cali story, but that's
I
fine.
know, I know. I apologize.
It's
No, I've done all my deals, multiple deals from my office in my house in California.
right. Virtual is super easy. One, an internet connection, a telephone, and a couple of software subscriptions so you can look at property and understand and get in front of the right people is truly what you need. You don't got to spend a bunch of money on pay per click or hire all these cold callers and do the nonsense that people talk about. It can get, the reason why I feel so many people quit wholesale is because they go down that rabbit hole of, okay, I gotta like do this direct to seller thing, and it's going to cost me. The average cost per contract for a direct to seller deal is $10,000. The
Crazy.
average assignment fee in a deal is $15,000. So do the math. You're barely making anything.
Yeah. And I talked to I like the disposition side the best. And I talked to some of these flippers and investors out there, and we get on the phone. It's just like, okay, so what's your strategy? Like whatever. And I tell them, I'm like, hey, we go to the agent, and we don't go direct to seller for these reasons. And they're just like, I've never heard of that. That is so much smarter than, kind of that other route. And he's like, how much do you spend on marketing? I go, nothing. I don't spend anything. I make phone, I use the Google machine and my cell phone.
Yeah, it's great.
I just call people, make friends.
Yeah.
And exactly what I go exactly what you teach. I just call, make friends, and I'm asking about one property, and they usually have 2 or 3 for me to look at.
Yeah.
So super cool. So but it's part of my retirement. The whole family's actually moving to Tennessee.
Wonderful.
So that's why
Like Nashville?
Chattanooga.
Oh, cool, man.
Yeah. So, but I like the kind of bigger city. I mean, Chattanooga is a bigger city, but just kind of from where I'm from, like I want to be in Nashville doing real estate.
Only thing I know about Chattanooga, this is funny. I hope this doesn't turn into a reel, but I got and when the internet first started, I got catfished by a girl in Chattanooga, Tennessee. That's about as much as I know about Chattanooga.
Gosh. Well, it's a cool, very, very cool place. So yeah, so the best thing, well, one of the best things about this community is the people you meet. So I connect with a guy that's actually from Long Beach, and he moved to Nashville, Ryder Cotton.
Oh wow, and yeah, one of the best.
The man. Yeah. So we obviously connect right away. He's like, oh, you're from California, I'm from California, and I'm in Nashville, and all those things. So essentially, my first deal is I dispo a house for him. He sends me a deal. I look at it. I've already kind of networked with some agents that are local. They're like, yeah, I'm looking for stuff for my clients. And it was really just kind of as easy as that. It was, he sends me the deal. I call like my favorite kind of agent that I've kind of connected with the best. I'm like, hey, I got one, dude. Like, he's like, yeah, text it over. Text it to him, calls me back. He said, can we go look at it? Sure. And then it's like, we'll take it. I said, awesome. Go through, send the paperwork. And within a week, I get a wire into my bank account. I'm like, oh my gosh, it works.
This is real. This is it's the greatest thing. Proof of concept is obviously just such a incredible belief. It anchors belief, right? Mm-hmm. And then it can create so much more momentum in a direction, right? So now that you've got proof of concept, I'm sure you just went ham on it.
Yeah. So it and then for that one real quick was I don't know. So my wife is just kind of like, it's, again, super the most supportive. So she's just, yeah, whatever you want to do sounds good. Like, and I remember when I first tried to explain to her kind of how this works, she just kind of like, okay, it goes from one guy to you and then to the buyer. All right. You did a podcast where that I listened to a while back, where you use the example of playing hockey with houses. And you said, oh yeah, it's like the house is the hockey puck, and it goes from this guy to me and to the buyer, and score, we win.
Mm-hmm.
So my darling wife, God bless her, I get my first deal done, and I get through, and I'm like, hey, did it? It worked. And she's like, oh, awesome. And then probably the next day she comes in the house with this little bag, and she's like, I got you a present for your first deal. I said, you didn't need to give me anything. and I open it up, and it's a hockey
Look,
puck
it's so cool.
with the address on it.
Wow.
And so, and now it sits on my desk. It's kind of my, my little, like,
Your framed dollar bill sort of
yeah,
thing, right? How much
yeah,
you make on that deal, by the way, just as a curiosity?
yeah. We made $8,000, me and Ryder.
Amazing.
So that was a good one. And then I've done several since. And the really cool thing, once you so the first one broke, I get another one, and I probably text it out. Say I get it at noon on a Tuesday, for example. I text it out by 10 a.m. the next morning. That one sold. Then I get the next one. Say I got it at noon on a Wednesday. By 3 p.m. that same day, it sold. So just kind of doing what you teach, and really, like, the fundamentals and the reps, and it'll just kind of build. And it was very cool to see the first one took like a day. The second one took like less than 24 hours. And then the third one took 3 hours. So
And it'll just get better and better, because the more you perform, the more you become the guy for a good handful of buyers. And now you've built yourself a business.
Yeah.
And again, it's what's incredible is that it can very easily get to a substantial amount of money. We see people like, Paul and Michelle. These guys they're flying first class from Dubai to Turkey to Greece, and truly living it up. And you see that your lifestyle can scale to and you can do what you want, right? You can do as much work as you want. You can say, hey, I'm going to take the week off, or I'm going to go and really dial in the next 10 days and not come up for air. You get to decide.
Yeah.
You get to decide how hard the grind is. But that will ultimately tell you or reflect in the number of wires you receive that month, right? So, or the following month, because building a pipeline is usually about 30 days, depending on the types of deals and how fast things close. It sounds like Tennessee has some really, really rapidly closing deals, which is fun, because you can, pick a deal off the tree and away you go. It's the thing that I think the hardest part for people to wrap their heads around, because they're like, oh, Astroflipping's a course. Okay, yeah, sure. I teach you a lot. I give you the fundamentals. We really explain the vernacular, how to spot a deal, understanding underwriting, all that stuff. Yes, you'll learn. Okay. The community is truly where the value is, because you plug into the people, and now all of a sudden it's just like, okay, you know where you can get deals, where there's buyers, you can really just connect the dots, and all of a sudden just coming into the community itself is where the money is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I've only done so far. I've only done deals with Astro students. Like every deal I've gotten have been and that have closed from Astro, from the community. It's crazy.
It's not. It's beautiful.
Yeah. It is. It is beautiful. You're right.
It's beautiful, and it's just the thing. You're gonna gain more, grow more, do more deals, make more friends. Create more opportunity, and you'll have a lot more hockey pucks.
I love the hockey pucks.
Now, I just want to come out to Chattanooga, Tennessee, go visit my catfish, and come hang out and see your desk of. Actually, I'm not going to visit the catfish, but see your desk full of hockey pucks, and congratulate you and give you a big hug, man. This has been an inspiring story, and if you have any piece of advice right now that you could give to somebody that's sitting on the fence of their life, that is, maybe working a service job, or maybe they're working in a situation where they love, because it sounded to me like you loved your career as a police officer, and that's great. Mm-hmm. But the finances just didn't cut it, right? So how do you, because you did have a W-2 and get deals done, right? So what do you say to a guy that's in that spot?
Just a couple things is really believe in yourself. And if God put something in your heart to kind of move towards or go after, don't think it's something other than that. Don't think it's a mistake, or it's not something you can do. Grit is probably my next biggest thing, is because, as you know, there'll be times there's peaks and valleys for sure. But as long as you have the mindset, as long as you don't quit and have the mindset of, I will get through this literally no matter what, and keep chipping away, you will be successful. So,
And
so
it's
yeah,
really it's as simple as that. Like every person I know that has succeeded has only done one thing: not quit.
Yep.
That's it. That's the common denominator. Because I know a lot of really dumb successful people, and I'm like, how the hell did you get here?
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm just like, oh, you were too dumb to quit. Amazing. And that's it. Like it's like you don't. It's like, but it's like you got geniuses. You got in the middle. You got mediocre at best, and still like high level of success. And at the end of the day, it was one common thing.
Yeah.
Don't quit.
Yeah.
My brother, fantastic. Congratulations. People want to do deals with you. They're going to want to connect with you. How do folks get a hold of you?
Best are Instagram, Facebook.
Okay.
So Instagram is Jason Benassi D'Amico, and then Facebook's just Jason D'Amico.
We're going to also put the links in the description, guys. So make sure that you go give him a follow and send him some opportunities, or if you have opportunities in the markets that he's working in, because you don't know. He may expand in the next little while. He might go to other markets as well. So do yourself a favor, regardless of where you are working, reach out to Jason and get into his orbit and do deals with this man. Ethical, phenomenal, and I'm proud of you, bro.
I appreciate that, brother. Again, thank you for everything. Couldn't be more grateful to have you in my life and the community. It's been the best. But
my man.
Yeah, brother.
And for everybody watching, hope to see you guys on the moon as well. Take care, everybody. We out. Thanks for watching another one of my YouTube videos. Now it's your turn to go out and take some action. But before you do, like and subscribe to my channel, because the law of reciprocity means you owe me, bitch.